The best run and gun settings for the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Let's go. Alright guys, now hope you're all good. So you've gone and bought yourself a DJI Osmo Pocket 3 and you're wondering what settings are going to give you the best results but also make it quick and easy to use. Well, in this video I'm going to run through what I believe to be the best run and gun settings that will make shooting with this bad boy so easy. Right, so firstly, let's start with the recording settings. And to get the best image quality possible, you're going to want to shoot in 4K, 16:9 aspect ratio. Unfortunately, unlike the Action 5 Pro, we do not have the option to choose a 4:3 aspect ratio, so 16:9 it is. Because I live in the UK, I'm going to shoot in 25 frames per second, which is going to best suit the frequency of the lights over here, but obviously this is dependent on the region that you live in, so if you live in America, you're going to probably want to shoot in 24 or 30 frames per second. And then obviously for that slow-mo, I'm going to drop that down to 50 frames per second or even 100 frames per second. So that's pretty much it for the recording settings. Now we're going to want to go in the main video settings by swiping left on the screen. And the first thing you're going to want to do is select Pro, because this is going to open up all the advanced settings. Then if we scroll down to where it says color, make sure D-Log M is selected. D-Log is going to give you the best dynamic range possible out of this camera, which means that you're going to have so much more information in the highlights, shadows and colors for your editing later. Annoyingly, whenever you shoot in log format, the image on the back of the camera does look terrible. It looks very washed out, there's hardly any saturation or contrast, and it can make it very difficult to actually gauge your exposure, which hopefully these settings that I'm going to tell you will make that a lot easier. And unfortunately, unlike the DJI Action 5 Pro, which had a color assist on there, which basically added a Rec 709 LUT over the top just temporarily while you're recording, which brought back all the saturation and contrast into your image so you could actually see what you're doing. It's not in this camera, which is very, very annoying, and I hope DJI actually fix and put in a future firmware update, because we kind of need it, especially with this tiny little screen on this camera. So yeah, that is very annoying, DJI. Come on, sort it out. But for now, unfortunately, we're going to have to do without. And I know if you're a beginner, it seems a little bit daunting to shoot in a log profile. Maybe you don't know how to edit, or maybe you don't even own a computer. But don't worry, because it's a lot easier and simpler than it seems. And as usual, DJI have got your back, because you can convert and edit the footage using their Mimo app directly on your phone. Yes, you can. All you need to do is turn on the Pocket 3, open up the Mimo app on your phone, it should automatically sync, then you can view all the footage that you've taken directly on the app. From here, you can then select the clips you want to select. As you can see, they still look crap, they all look very washed out, but by pressing color correct, this is going to bring the footage back to life and add all that color information and saturation and contrast back into your image, making it look fantastic again. And that's it. From here, you can then choose to export it, or you can use one of DJI's LUTs and edit it directly in the app. It's as easy as that. However, by default it'll have a watermark on there, so make sure that you turn that off before exporting, otherwise you will look a bit daft. And there you have it, a fully color corrected and edited clip that you can then share to social media without even having to use a computer. That's pretty damn good. So yeah, shooting in log really is not that daunting, especially with DJI. So I would highly recommend that you choose D-Log M for the best dynamic range and also the best flexibility in post when it comes to editing. Also, it's going to make it look like it was shot on a more expensive camera, because it's going to take away all that over sharpened look that you tend to get from this sort of camera, like an iPhone or from an action cam. So this is going to remove that, and it's going to soften the overall image. When I say soften, it's not going to make it look less sharp, it just means that the highlight roll off and the shadows, the way that they blend together, is going to be a lot smoother, and it's just going to look a little bit more professional. Right, so next up we have the exposure, and for this I like to have a couple of options, and then I'm going to save them to custom modes later, which I'll show you how to do in a bit. Because unlike the Action 5 Pro, which I pretty much just leave in auto the entire time because it's so heavily reliant on its image stabilization that I can't reduce the shutter speed down to what I want, the Pocket 3 is actually geared more towards manual exposure, so I do shoot in manual quite a bit with this camera. However, for the majority of the time I still like to stick it in auto for the convenience. So for those run and gun settings, here we go. So first off, make sure that auto is selected. Then for the ISO, I'm going to choose the maximum range, which is 50 to 3200, just because I don't want to be messing about. However, the more familiar you become with the camera, obviously you can tweak this later down the line. Now the key ingredient to be able to shoot run and gun with this camera is the exposure value compensation on the left hand side. And from my testing, I like to set this to minus 0.3 EV. Sometimes minus 0.7, but 99% of the time minus 0.3 EV. Which is very counterintuitive when it comes to shooting in log normally, because you usually overexpose log footage by about a stop, sometimes even more. But for some reason, in my tests anyway, whenever I shoot in D-log, I think it actually exposes more for the shadows, which just blows out all the highlights. So if I underexpose my image, my highlights are going to be retained, and it just means that I'm going to get a better image overall. So yeah, minus 0.3 EV is probably the way to go when it comes to this camera. I do the same for the Action 5 as well, so if you want to go and see that video, I'll link that somewhere up here. And that's it for the run and gun settings. It's as easy as that. Now if you're feeling confident, I'm going to show you the manual exposure settings that I like to use as well, because as I said, this camera is actually geared more towards manual exposure than something like the Action 5 Pro is, because the Action 5 Pro relies so much on its digital image stabilization that it means that you can't reduce that shutter speed down to the desired shutter speed that you need for that 180-degree shutter rule that everybody wants to go on about. Whereas this camera has a built-in gimbal, so that means that it's not going to do anything digitally to affect your footage. So that means you can reduce the shutter speed, you can put ND filters on the front, and you can actually control the camera's settings a lot more than you can with the Action 5, which makes this camera a lot more sort of like a professional camera. Not really professional, but you can get more professional results out of this camera than you can out of the Action 5. So to set this up for manual exposure, you're going to want to put this in manual. And because I'm shooting in 25 frames per second, to adhere to that 180-degree shutter rule that everybody keeps banging on about, I'm going to need to make sure that my shutter speed is controlled. So I'm going to need to set that to 1/50. Now because 1/50 is such a slow shutter speed, it's going to mean that so much more light is going to enter the camera's sensor, potentially overexposing your image. So you might need to invest in some ND filters. Now, I have tested out some ND filters from Tellison. They're very good. If you want to see that video, I'll link it up here. I'll link the items in the description box below if you want to pick some up. But yeah, you're going to need some ND filters to be able to control that exposure a lot better with this camera. So yeah, for 25 frames per second, I'm going to set this to 1/50. And then if I shoot in 50 frames per second, I'm going to put the shutter speed to 1/100. Now, just because I've set this to manual exposure does not mean that I need to set everything manually. And depending on the environment that I'm in, the lighting can keep fluctuating. And I do not want to have to change my settings every 2 minutes on the fly with this tiny little camera. There are no dials like there are on this camera, and also I'm not going to put a variable ND filter on the front and try and fiddle away with that, because it's just going to be too fiddly and too annoying. So instead I have to use fixed NDs. So depending on the environment that I'm in, I'm going to choose the appropriate ND strength, and then I'm going to put it in auto ISO 50 to 3200 and just let the camera do its job, because it's just a lot easier and a lot less faff. And the good thing about this camera is it always shows you the EV value as well. So even when you're shooting in manual, it's going to tell you whether or not you're under or overexposed. So I'm still going to try and maintain that minus 0.3 to minus 0.7 EV that I talked about earlier, even when I'm manually exposing. So that's how I set my exposure for a quick and easy life, along with a more professional workflow if I need to. Now for the white balance. And again, I like to switch between manual and auto depending on the environment that I'm in. If it's a more controlled environment, then I'm going to manually set this white balance myself. Or if I'm outside and it's fluctuating all the time, I'm just going to bung it in auto and leave it at that, because let's face it, life's too short. And a quick tip if you're going to shoot in auto white balance is, before you hit record, point the camera in the location that you want to shoot, give it a couple of seconds, let that camera calibrate the temperature, and then press record. You're less likely to get any fluctuation in temperature this way. However, setting the white balance in this camera is a dream, and other camera manufacturers need to take note, because all you need to do is put it in auto, let the camera calibrate to the room temperature just for a couple of seconds, and then press manual. It automatically takes whatever value the auto white balance had set and put it in the manual setting. You don't need to do anything else. You don't need to guess. You don't need a grey card or a white card, whatever bloody card you need. It just does it for you. And I wish other camera manufacturers took note, because it needs to be included in these bigger cameras. It's just a dream. A dream, I tell you. A Martin Luther King. Next up we have glamour effects. And the answer here is no. 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 There's no. It looks ridiculous. There's just no need. No. Next we have focus mode. 99% of the time, continuous. Feel free to play about with this, but I don't see the point. Just keep it in continuous. Next up we have focus breathing compensation, which is actually a new feature that DJI have included in the latest firmware. And basically, focus breathing is where the lens breathes. So if you focus on something close up and then you were to move out of the way and focus on the background, the camera can kind of look like it's zooming in or zooming out a little bit, depending on which way you go. Right, so pay attention to the edges of the screen. Does it look like it's zooming in or out as I move out of the way? Has it done it? Which way did it do it? Or did it do it at all? Like I said, this camera's actually pretty good for it. I'll come back now. Breathe with me. Right, let's move on. And finally, we have image adjustment. And as I mentioned earlier, I can't stand the over-sharpened look that we tend to get out of action cameras and phones. So in this camera, it actually does have a larger sensor. So it alleviates this look a little bit anyway, due to the nature of the camera. But anything I can do to alleviate this, I'm going to do it anyway, because I do not want the camera to over sharpen anything for me. I want to do this in post if I choose to. So for both noise reduction and sharpness, I set this to -2. So that's it for the main video settings. Now for the audio settings. So for audio, it actually has a fairly decent microphone built in. However, I do like to use the DJI wireless mic 2s purely for convenience and for the fact that they're awesome. And the way that you set these up is you scroll down on the screen, go to settings, and then click wireless mic. From here, you click TX1, then turn your mic on by pressing the red button, hold it for a few seconds until it turns blue, then hold the link button until it starts blinking blue, and that's it, you're done. It's all synced. You can even set a second one in exactly the same way as well, just press TX2. Then for the settings, if we scroll down, low cut, make sure this is off because it just adds a lot of artifacts into my audio and I just don't like it. Make sure that 32-bit float is switched on because this is going to give you the best audio quality possible and prevent the audio from clipping. And if we come out of there and scroll further down, you're going to then want to turn on the built-in microphone audio backup. That way, if your microphones fail or if you didn't charge them or if they just run out of battery for whatever reason, you're going to have an audio backup from the camera's microphone itself. So you're always going to have audio. So if we go out of here and back into the main video settings, you'll now notice that there's a DJI mic icon in the top. If you click on this, you've now got some more settings that you can adjust. You can adjust the gain, you can make it into mono or stereo, but for this I just like to keep it in stereo and then I adjust the gain according to my source. And that's it for the audio, don't do anything else. So a few of the things I like to change, if we go back to the settings by scrolling down from the top of the screen, first off we have the gimbal direction. So I make sure that this is set to forward, which basically means when I turn the camera on, the gimbal is always going to be facing forward. Another cool little feature is the rotate screen to power off. Basically that just means whenever I rotate the screen up, it's going to turn the camera on. When I rotate it back, it's going to turn it off. It's genius. Then for the slider control, I set this to zoom. This allows the joystick to then control the gimbal. Video compression, whenever you're shooting D-Log M, I don't think you've got any other choice other than that high efficiency HEIVC or whatever it's called. So we can't change anything here. And that's pretty much it. I don't think I changed much else. Now for the gimbal settings. Now I have to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of gimbals. And that's probably down to the fact that I don't know how to use them. Or at least I don't have much experience with them anyway. And I don't seem to have found a setting that I really enjoy on this camera yet. And that's nothing to do with the camera, it's definitely user error. Because having a gimbal built into this camera is a massive benefit. But for me, I'm so used to just being able to point the camera and shooting and getting exactly what I'm looking at. Whereas with the gimbal, I point, I move, and then obviously there's a bit of a lag. It takes a while for the camera to catch up, and it's a bit of a learning curve. But nonetheless, having a gimbal built in allows me to capture some awesome smooth footage that I can't even get with this camera, and this camera has the best in-body stabilization in the business. And to be fair, I probably just need more practice. However, DJI have added another gimbal setting recently in one of their firmware updates, which I think makes it easier for idiots like myself to use the gimbal properly. And that is the little FPV with the upside down T. Basically it just follows wherever the screen is facing, which essentially means wherever you're holding the camera. So if you tilt it up, the camera will tilt up. If you tilt it down, the camera will tilt down. If you go left, it will go left. If you go right, it will go right. It's the most intuitive one that I've found. And that's it. Now it's time to save the settings. So as I said at the beginning of the video, I like to have a few custom modes set. So it just makes it a lot easier for when I'm on the go. So I don't have to keep changing my settings all the time. And for this, I like to have the auto settings and the manual settings. and I like to have 25 frames per second, and I like to have 50 frames per second. And the first thing we're going to want to do is make sure we've got everything set up for the first custom mode. So that is my 25 frames per second in 4K in auto exposure. Once we've got that set up, you're then going to swipe down from the top of the screen, click on the little person icon, and then press C1. And that's it. Custom mode saved. So for 50 frames per second, all we're going to do is change the recording mode. Then we're going to swipe down again, and then we're going to click on that little person icon and then click C2. Then we just repeat the exercise for our manual exposure settings, starting with 4K 25 frames. Make sure that the shutter speed is set to 1/50. Save this to custom mode 3. Go back, and now we can choose 50 frames per second. Again, making sure that the shutter speed is now changed to 1/100. Save this to custom mode 4. And that's it. We've now got 4 custom modes set. And then to switch between each custom mode, all you need to do is press the little button in the bottom left hand corner, and then you can choose between C1, C2, C3, C4, and if you've got any more, you can choose them there. So it's really quick and easy to adjust your settings on the fly. Genius. And that's it really. That's how I've got this camera set up for quick run and gun, along with a much more professional workflow. And if you want to see how it matches up to my Action 5 Pro settings, I'll leave this video up here and I'll see you there. Otherwise, if you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. Consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this. Hit the bell, all those nice things that will leave a smile on my face. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.
I know, you heard a little something about me, right? People love to talk, everybody wanna doubt me, right? I know, bunch of fakes all around me, right? They clowning like, I ain't hear what it sounded like. I know, these fools hating on the low, smiling all in my face, stab me in the back, though.